This is what most Amazon ads agencies and experts and Amazon themselves won't tell you. Hey, I'm Chris. I have produced some amazing PPC results. As you can see here, we have low ACOSs, low TACOSs. I've been working at Amazon for 13 years, done advertising for many, many years. And I want to discuss with you today about some of the things that Amazon PPC agencies might not necessarily tell you. Amazon certainly won't tell you, and things that you should really be aware of when you're setting up your own ad accounts and running your own advertising, whether you take it in-house and you work with a full-timer or you work with an agency like ourselves. The key thing to remember, first of all, is the setup you have when you employ an Amazon ad agency. What metrics are they working towards? If they are incentivized by commissions on revenue, or they're commissioned on media spend, so how much money you spend on advertising, then that can become an issue because they're driven by, in my view, the wrong metrics. And what I mean by that is revenue production doesn't mean anything when it comes to advertising. You're looking for a return on investment for you and to make sure you're getting the best results. And if your agency is working on a percentage commission based on the revenue of your model and someone take 5%, which can massively impact on your margins, that can become problematic. It's even worse if they're taking a media spend. So in other words, their fee to you is the percentage of what you pay for advertising. This is something that I had a problem with many, many years ago with an agency that did advertising, and I got fired after I criticized them for effectively for running an ad campaign that didn't really provide much value. And it was just a burner. It was a cash burner for that client they had. I don't think they probably kept them very long. So always be mindful of the people that you invest in when they're working on behalf of your advertising business. That's not just Amazon, I suppose. That's everything, Google PPC, everything. Just be mindful of the way they're incentivized. And I'm not saying those agencies are always bad, but it's just their North Star metric is based around the concept of being driven by either your revenue or by how much money you spend on advertising. Two metrics that are not something that you as a business owner are going to be that driven towards. So always try and make sure that the position you have with that agency, that consultant, that freelancer is absolutely around either a set price or metrics that allow you to look at profitability. Another thing as well is Amazon are offering a lot of management of advertising now. Just again, be mindful of this because Amazon's goal is to produce Amazon revenue. Their goal is not to produce you a stronger return on investment. And if I can give you one key piece of advice when it comes to advertising on Amazon, is that your performance in your advertising is only as good as your product itself and the product listing. Remember, with sponsored products, your product listing is your ad. I say that in every single PPC Amazon YouTube video I make. Your Amazon ad is your product listing, and it has to work, it has to convert, it has to be optimized. Otherwise, you'll be throwing money away. And crucially, you don't want to be doing that. So make sure you're working to the right metrics. Make sure you look at data to be led by decisions. That's one of the key things that we do as an agency. And it's something that so many agencies don't do. When we work with clients that come to us that have had big advertising spends, some of the metrics are quite worrying that agencies don't look at the right things to make sure that their client is getting the best return on investment. It's normally about revenue or about getting them to spend more money. So imperatively, you want to make sure that those metrics they're working towards are at their core working for you. Make sure that works with other agencies. And like I said, as a caveat, I'm not saying all agencies are bad. I'm just saying that many that we have unfortunately had to take from another client, we've got a client that's had to work with these agencies. Some of those things for us would be a core red flag, and they shouldn't really be doing that. I mean, each to their own in terms of where they model their business. But for me, I want to keep a customer long term. I know that to do that, we've got to make sure that the metrics we follow keep our client profitable, because then you stay with us, and our clients stay with us on average 18 months. They're only tying to us for a contract of 3 months. So they stay with us because we provide value and results. We don't tie them to any long-term contracts, which is another point that really is something you should be mindful of, is long-term contracts and how that can have a big impact on your business. Ultimately, you might not be the right client for that agency or freelancer as well as there's that other person. So from an agency side, that's important. If you do work with someone in-house on your PPC, make sure they have the experience, make sure they have the tool sets, make sure they have the knowledge to look at every element of advertising. Sponsored products we know typically is lower in the funnel. In other words, you get a better return on investment for that. But we are seeing sponsored brands, sponsored display producing better results too now. Make sure they have the experience. Make sure they do understand DSP, AMC, those kind of metrics as well between the Amazon Marketing Cloud, because that can be really helpful. And make sure they have access to the tools, sponsored brand TV. Just make sure that you've got the experience there. And if you're incentivizing them on bonus, make sure it's on a return on investment, not on ad spend, lowering ACoS. Lowering ACoS is great, but ultimately you need to be led by what we call your TACoS figure, the ultimate revenue versus your ultimate ad spend versus your revenue. Because unless, you might not know this, but up to 60% of your organic positioning, your organic ranking comes from your ad spend, believe it or not, because advertising impacts on organic performance. So crucially, they're married to each other. Unlike Google, which as far as I know, SEO PPC don't match, Amazon very much does. So we need to make sure that those are correlative. So in a summary, let's just work this out. So first of all, make sure the ladder is propped against the right wall. Make sure you're not incentivizing your partners in Amazon advertising on the basis of either revenue production, commissions, or worse, media or ad spend commissions. You don't want to do that. 2, know your numbers. Make sure that your data is right. Make sure that you're converting the right products. Make sure that everyone is working towards the same goal, and that is your profitability, no other goals. 3, make sure those people are experienced. Make sure they know the full aspects. Make sure they're fully up to date with what's going on in the ad world right now and Amazon in general, because other things impact so much on advertising. Number 4, don't be led by bad metrics at all. I'm going to repeat that, consistently, because ads impact organic rankings, and you need to be led by TACoS figures, which is the ad spend versus the ad revenue. Okay, so make sure that all those metrics are in line. If you're struggling with that, please, give us a message, have a read, get in touch. I'll give you a free consultant session to learn more about how we can work with you in terms of developing a full service strategy and within your advertising, and to help you learn a bit more. We're just literally looking at the very top level of all this in terms of how ads works, how those businesses need to work and correlate with you as an advertiser. If we can give you any more information, have a look at this video up here. They'll give you a lot more information all about Amazon PPC, and I'll see you on the next one.